Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. This is your guest host, Big Easy, filling in for Jim. We're going to continue our baseball talk with the National League West. In studio with our senior baseball analysts, JK47 and J Dash. We're going to talk about the San Francisco Giants today. True World Series veterans of the last 5 years, right?
Even numbered years, they win it, right?
That's it.
JK47, it's the same thing going to happen this year.
Well, nothing's impossible. I mean, this team's actually looking really good to me. They've had a busy offseason, beefing up that pitching staff. You know, Jeff Samardzija going to want to redeem himself after a dismal season last year.
Yeah, Jeff Samardzija, the ex-Notre Dame wide receiver. He pitched very well for the Cubs for a few years. He went to, Oakland? And, he didn't get it done that season. You remember Oakland was in the running in the playoffs. This was, 2 years ago? And they brought in Jeff Samardzija, Jason Hamill, gave up Addison Russell, and they completely fell apart. And then Samardzija went over to the White Sox, and he didn't look good at all last season, really. Not up to his standards. He pitched like a back end of the rotation type guy, but you want number one type numbers out of this guy, really.
He only had number one type numbers against the Pirates.
Believe it.
For real.
Well, yeah, this guy, I remember him dominating
He hasn't
the Pirates.
done nothing since.
Yeah, it's been a while. He didn't pitch very well for the A's either. So, moving from the National League over to the American League, now he's coming back to the National League here with the Giants. So, hopefully he can turn it back around and get his career back on track. And then they brought in Johnny Cueto as well. This was another guy. He had his career year, not last year, the year before. And he pitched well last year, got traded to the Kansas City Royals, and he kind of dropped off after that. And now coming back to the National League, I think he's going to get back on track where he was in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's a hitter's ballpark anyway, so I think he could pitch very well here in San Francisco. But this rotation looks very good behind Madison Bumgarner now, a lot better than it did last season. A couple other signings they made. They brought in two catchers, Miguel Olivo and George Kataris, to minor league. They'll see if they can make this team. Because, Buster Posey's going to be playing a lot of first base as well. They signed third baseman Connor Gillespie and signed outfielder Denard Span, which was a good signing because they lost Nori Aoki to free agency. They lost Marlon Byrd to free agency, who just recently signed with the Indians. I think it might have been yesterday, actually. And they lost Alejandro de Aza to free agency as well. That's more of a fourth outfielder there. But they lost some outfield pieces here, so bringing in Denard Span helps. And their outfield still looks pretty good at this point. Tim Hudson retired. They lost Yusmeiro Petit to free agency, Ryan Vogelsong to free agency, Mike Leake to free agency, and Marco Scudero also retired, veteran there.
Yep.
Well, losing Scudero will hurt. He was actually a solid ball player, good serviceable middle infielder, not a bad stick either.
Happy to see him hang him up, though. Why prolong your career when you're beat?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say he's completely beat, but he should have retired after 2 years ago, not this past season.
He still felt like he had something left in the tank, I guess. But, you look at losing Mike Leake, no big deal there. You basically replace him and Vogelsong with Samardzija and Cueto.
Yeah, so I think that's actually an upgrade. I'm not really high on Mike Leake anyways, to tell you the truth.
He destroys the Pirates.
Well, yeah, he does. He pitches very well against the Pirates, but every time I watch him pitch against the Pirates, he gets every single freaking call in the world. It's 4 feet outside, and it's getting called strikes. Now, I'm not saying the Pirates get screwed over like that all the time. I'm saying when Mike Leake pitches against the Pirates, he gets every freaking call.
Yins no.
But let's take a look at this team. The outfield, it looks pretty good. Denard Span in center field, like we mentioned, they brought him over. Hunter Pence, still a solid veteran out there, a goofy-looking guy.
Goofy
plays
veteran.
Goofy baseball, but whatever. He's a good player. He gets it done season in and season out.
Was injured last year, correct? Missed a lot of time, right? Didn't he miss a couple months last year?
Last couple years, he's actually missed some time. Played in only 52 games last year.
Yeah, that's brutal.
He's going to be back healthy to start the season now. Hopefully they can keep him healthy because he is a big part of this offense.
Right.
And, like I said, they lost all those outfielders, Marlon Byrd, like I said. So yeah, they need him to stay healthy, and they still have Angel Pagan out there, another solid veteran, always gets it done. He's not great in any one category, but he can just hit, and he can score runs.
His hair game's on point.
Please believe it. They also have Gregor Blanco as well. He's been a solid backup outfielder, fourth outfielder for him. So, I mean, their outfield looks pretty good. Plus, they have some prospects here. That Jarrett Parker, he actually got a couple at-bats last season, 49 at-bats. Hit 347 with a 407 on base in those 49 at-bats as well. And in the minors in AAA, he hit 283 with a 375 on base, 23 jacks, and 20 stolen bases. This guy has power, speed, and defense. So I think this guy can be a starter, but he is 27 years old already. So, I mean, if he's going to be a starter, he got to get it done here quickly. And these other two guys, I think they're more, well, this guy's more of a role player. I think Mac Williamson, he's 25 years old, hit 13 home runs with 51 walks compared to 108 Ks and 448 at-bats between AA and AAA last year. His best tool is his power. He actually showed more power than he showed last year in prior seasons, but he hit 275 with a 368 on base as well. So he looks like a decent player. I don't think he's ever going to be a pure starter. But this next guy, I think he's more of a fourth outfielder, Hunter Cole. He's 23. He hit 301 with a 358 on base last season between three levels, ending up in AA. I don't know if we're going to see this guy this season. I think it might be 2017 with him. But these other guys, I believe we'll see at some point this season. But Hunter Cole, 9 jacks, 38 walks compared to 100 Ks and 449 at bats. So you'd like to see him walk more, but his strikeout rate looks all right, and he hits for a decent average. But he doesn't have too much pop, so I think he's more of a fourth outfielder, like I was saying. But they got some options here, no one beast or anything, so they really want this outfield to stay healthy, and that's asking a lot with Hunter Pence, Denard Span, and Angel Pagan, to tell you the truth, because all these guys have had injuries in their career.
Well, we're going to take you into the Giants infield now. We're going to start at the hot corner. We're going to start with Matt Duffy. Duffy seemed to come out of nowhere last year. 12 home runs, 295 average, and 573 at-bats.
Yeah, he had a beast season, and I really like this guy, and I think he's one of the better bats on his team moving forward, along with the second baseman. I know you like this guy, Joe Panik. He really came out of nowhere last year as well. I mean, he was all right the season before in limited playing time, but he really showed he deserves to be a starter here in the Bigs this season. So Joe Panik, Matt Duffy, they both kind of came out of nowhere, but they're definite starters. And Brandon Crawford had a big season as well, kind of stepped up at shortstop and showed the power like he never showed before.
Well, he quietly led the team with 21 home runs. Kind of tailed off, though, as the season wore on. I mean, he was hot to start the season.
But still, if he can just get... See, he was hitting, around 300 early in the season, wasn't he? Didn't his batting average drop off? I think what did he end up with?
256.
Yeah, 256. I actually think that's a little lower than his usual average. I think he's around a 260 hitter, to tell you the truth, but he never showed that pop. So he broke out. Joe Panik broke out. Matt Duffy broke out. All of a sudden, you have his really good infield. Now, Brandon Belt, he had a solid season last year. A lot of the time, though, he looks like he's going to be one of the best players in the game, and then sometimes he just looks like below average. Now, he's a pretty good first baseman or whatever. Like we said, Buster Posey's going to play some first base as well. When he's the first baseman, the infield looks even better, in my opinion, offensively. But Belt could probably play some outfield as well if one of these guys went down in the outfield, like we were saying. So they can move some guys around here as well. But this infield does look really good to me. If Brandon Belt can, I don't know, I think he should be able to be a 25 home run hitter, and he really hasn't proven that yet.
I really don't think you're going to see it. I mean, he has solid line drive power. He could definitely hit the ball out of the park in a hurry. But, I mean, a lot of the times, he gives you a lot of extra base hits, though. 33 doubles, 5 triples to go with those 18 home runs. So, I mean, that indicates he does have pop in his bat.
Yeah, he definitely has pop, man. This guy's a powerful hitter. What's the biggest weakness in this infield, though? Is it Brandon Belt? Would you like to upgrade that if you had a choice?
Well, I mean, it depends if you play Buster Posey there or not. Obviously, he's not going to play every day there, so, I mean...
Yeah, really, Andrew Susak's a guy that can be starting for a team as well. And when Posey's playing first, That looks great there with Andrew Susac at catcher. Now, it's kind of like Brandon Belt and Susac. They'll be playing on and off. So I kind of like those two guys as not necessarily straight backups, but I mean, this is a pretty deep team as well. Another guy they got in the infield is Kelby Tomlinson. He can play second and third base. And this guy last year, he hit the ball pretty well in limited playing time. And it was his first season as well. 178 at bats and hit over 300. Now, he doesn't have much pop. He'll give you a little bit of speed because he's a young guy or whatever. But he looks like a pretty solid backup too. So this team looks pretty deep to me. They have that Idre Adrianza too. That guy really hasn't showed anything in a couple seasons here with the Giants. So I'm not really big on him or anything. But I really like the looks of this infield, whether Posey's catching or Andrew Susac's catching, whether Belt's at first or Posey's at first. I think they have some serious options here. I think they just got to stay healthy.
Well, Bruce Bochy's the best at getting the most out of his players.
Please believe it.
So, I mean, this is going to be an interesting season. I mean, Hunter Pence healthy for a whole season would do a lot for this ball club. At least I think so anyway. They always seem to play much better whenever they have them. Well, I think Paddock's going to have a big season this year.
Feeling panic?
Definitely feeling Paddock. He was excellent last year. I mean, unfortunately, that injury took its toll. You know, you were looking at perhaps a 200-hit season from this guy. You know, even though he doesn't have a super lot of power, I'll tell you what. I mean, this guy drives the ball to the gaps. He's constantly getting those extra base hits. I mean,
yeah, I think, how many at-bats did he have? 300 and some. He had like 27 doubles. So, I mean, you put that over a full season, man. He had a ton of doubles. How old is he?
I say mid-20s, maybe like 25, 26.
Yeah, he's 25 years old, so he's still young. He could grow into some more power as well. And, I mean, you look, he had 8 home runs last year and 382 at-bats. You give him another 150 at-bats, you're talking about a guy that might be able to hit you 12 home runs there.
Well, I think that's ultimately pretty much where his power is going to peak out.
Yeah, I mean, it could grow a little bit. You never know. What about this rotation, though? Like we were saying, Madison Bumgarner, the ace at the top of the rotation, the big lefty, and he pitched very well in the playoffs 2 years ago, obviously. But they really didn't have much behind that. I mean, they brought in Mike Leake at the deadline last year. He really, I mean, he's not more than a number 3 or 4 to me. But bringing in Johnny Cueto, this guy is, I wouldn't say an ace, but he's definitely a number 1 pitcher. I mean, he had his career year 2 years ago. He looked like an ace that year for sure. But I think he's a number 1 type pitcher. And Jeff Samardzija can pitch like a number 1 as well. But behind that, I mean, you really don't need much behind that. So who would you leave out of this rotation? Matt Cain's fell off over the past couple years, but he's always been a solid pitcher for him. But would you leave him out at this point and put in Heston? Or is Heston the odd man out? Or you?
Well, Cain's missed a lot of time with injuries, you know. I mean, that doesn't help. I mean, in 13 games last year, he had a 5.79 ERA. So, I mean, that's far under what you would expect from him. But, I mean, being injured definitely is taking its course. It's kind of hard for me to leave the young guy out of there.
Yeah, me too, man. Especially what he showed last season. It was his rookie year. Now, he's a little bit older. I think he was 27 last season, so this might be his age 28 season. But still, I mean, for his first year of big league ball, he looked very good, and it'd be really, really hard for me to leave him out of the rotation. Even if he fell off a little bit towards the end of the year. It doesn't matter. I mean, that was his first taste of the big leagues, really. You could consider Clayton Blackburn at some point this season, too. This guy's 23 years old. In the Pacific Coast League last year, AAA, he had a 2.85 ERA. That led all of the league. And he's not an ace either. He's probably a number 3 at highest. But he had 99 Ks compared to 32 walks in 123 innings. He did allow 127 hits, though. So he didn't have the greatest whip in the world, really. But he has good control. You'd like to see a few more Ks out of him. But I've been watching this guy for the past couple years, and he is a pretty good pitcher. And I think he can stick as a number 3 at some point. So maybe if you start out with Cain and Peavy and those guys don't work out, you can give Heston and Blackburn a chance. They got this Ty Bloch as well. He's 25 years old. He had a 4.46 ERA in AAA last year. Gave up way too many hits, 189 hits in 165 innings. Only had 93 Ks. And he has good control. only 31 walks. But like I said, he's way too hittable. He gave up 16 home runs. He's really going to have to improve before he gets called up. And like I said, he's 25 years old, so we'll have to see. He may be pushed to the bullpen at some point. So, I don't know. If you add Clayton Blackburn into this and he could step in as a number 5 at some point this season, and all you need to do is find one of PV, Kane, and Heston to be your number 4. And I believe Heston's already shown he can be at least a number 4. So this rotation looks set to me for this season.
Well, I mean, it's going to be easier on Smarja, too. He's not going to be a number 1 or a number 2. They're expecting him to be a number 3 and be solid.
Exactly. And especially he can finally come back to the National League, which really helps him, man.
Oh, without question. Not to mention, too, it's a pitcher's ballpark. So.
Right. What about this bullpen, though? They got Santiago Casilla, Sergio Romo. They have Javier Lopez, George Contos. George Contos actually had a pretty good season last year. They have Hunter Strickland, too. I think this guy is going to pitch somewhere towards the back end of the bullpen. He's actually my favorite reliever on this staff. He was a beast last season.
We had him in our system, didn't we?
Hunter Strickland?
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it? Oh, yeah, by the way, Rajee Davis was a Pirate.
Was he?
Yeah, he was a Pirate. He was in the Pirate system. I don't know about Hunter Strickland, man. He may have. Can't remember.
I'm pretty sure we had him at some point in our system, and then somebody picked him up like as a roll 5 or something like that.
Well, that sucks. That guy could be. I think he's going to take over the closer role at some point for the Giants. I don't know if it's going to be this season or not. All depends if Casilla plays up to his ability. Sergio Romo is a pretty good pitcher, too, that could close out some games for you. But I think Hunter Strickland has more upside than any of these guys, and I wouldn't mind seeing him close out some games. But, I mean, between Strickland, Casilla, and Romo, the back end of your bullpen set up, like I said, George Contos had a pretty good season for him. So their bullpen looks pretty good. I just don't know how deep it is outside of these few guys here. I mean, they have a couple guys in the minor leagues. Steven Okert, he's 24, had a 3.82 ERA in 61 innings pitched, 69 Ks compared to 29 walks. He hits the mid-90s with his fastball and has a slider to go along with it. I could see him getting a chance. Like I said, he's 24 years old, so it's about time he gets his chance as well. He already showed he can pitch well in AAA. I don't think you'll see him at the back end of the bullpen or anything this year, but I bet you see him pitch out of the bullpen at times this year. And do you remember Cal Crick, man? Starting pitcher, had some serious upside for the Giants. They actually converted him to a reliever because his control was just terrible, and he showed it as a reliever too, really. He had a good ERA, 3.29 ERA, but look at this, 73 Ks compared to 66 walks in 63 innings. If you're walking more than one guy per inning, I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to make it in the bigs.
Oh, not at all. Because then, I mean, that compels you to use, well, I don't know. I truly believe you pretty much use your fastball more. That just makes you more hittable right there.
So Cal Crick, I mean, a guy that had a ton of upside at one time, looked like he was going to be not necessarily an ace, probably a number 2, something like that. Now it doesn't even look like he's ever going to be in the bigs unless he really works on that control. And I mean, he has to cut that in half, really. But I don't know. I think the bullpen's a little short. The back end of it looks pretty good to me. But I think the starting rotation makes up for it. This rotation's one of the better rotations in baseball this season. The offense, I mean, I like it. I think it could be a little better, and you got to worry about the injuries there in the outfield. It's not going to be the best offense in baseball, but with this rotation, it's definitely good enough to play for this division.
I like his team a lot. Even numbered year, I think they're definitely going to the playoffs. I think they're going to finish first in this division.
Going to win the division.
I think so.
Stacked.
His team's going to win 92 ball games.
92.
92.
I like it. I'm actually going to say they come in second place, though. Look, the Dodgers are injured right now. They have a ton of injuries, so maybe these guys don't get healthy or whatever, but I think the Dodgers, if their rotation can get healthy, they're going to look beast. They got 2 beasts in the minors as well. And their offense looks pretty good as well. No worse than the Giants' offense does here, to tell you the truth. But I think it's going to be a race to the end, and I think the Diamondbacks are going to make a push as well. But I'm going to say the Giants end up in second place. Are they going to make the wild card? I don't know. It's tough to say, man. I think there's a lot of strong teams here in the NL. So I'm going to say no. They miss out on the playoffs.
And that is where you're dead wrong.
So they're making the playoffs. is
They're
what
gonna
you're saying?
they're a lock for a wild card this year.
Lock.
A lock.
You got the Washington Nationals.
Win the division.
You got the New York Mets.
Nothing.
Man, their rotation
down.
looks good,
They're
man.
down this year.
Okay.
No
you
offense.
got the St. Louis Cardinals, the Chicago Cubs, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
All these teams have shots, man. It's hard to say that San Fran will definitely make the playoffs.
That's spread bold statement. Spread them.
Spread them.
I mean,
What's the bold statement? Me saying
They're
that?
no. They're I'm saying they're a lock.
They're a lock.
They're a wild card lock. Is what I'm saying.
Wild card lock.
Yeah.
So-
I say they finish second in the division.
And take a wild card spot.
And
pitch
lock
Madison Bumgarner in that wild card game and dominate.
Cueto could be Cueto.
Ugh, I would never not
Dude,
pitch
Cueto's
Bumgarner.
20-5 this year. He's getting pitched.
I don't think they'd ever pitch Cueto over Bumgarner if Bumgarner's completely healthy. Bumgarner's one of the best pitchers in baseball, man.
So if his record's 14-12 and
It depends
other
on-
dudes 20-5, what are we talking about here?
I mean,
So Bumgarner's going to
really
have,
the
he's
win-loss
gonna have a
record
Cy-
doesn't matter
he's
as
gonna have
much
a
as
Cy Young
the other numbers, but
So you're
I get
saying
what you're saying.
Bumgarner's going to have a Cy Young like year this year?
he always pitches like he can be in the running. I mean, he's always somewhat in the running for Cy Young.
Not this year.
Not this year, not feeling it.
Dude's beat.
Okay, so 2 second place, 1 first place. 2 of us are saying they make the playoffs, 1 of us not.
So that's it. San Francisco people, holler at us. If you want to tell Jay Dash he's right and everything he said is right on point, you can hit him up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can hit JK47 up
At his crib.
at simcity.com. And we're got one more team to talk about here to wrap up the NL West preview. It's the LA Dodgers. Go to that YouTube channel, YouTube/bet_the_spread.
YouTube.com/betthespread, man.
That's it.
If you want to hit up Big Easy, you can find him online on Battlefield. Hey.